There is a massive political storm brewing in India, and it's all centered on two words you're going to hear a lot about: vote Chori. We're talking about explosive accusations of electoral fraud from the opposition, and some really strong pushback from the government and the election authorities. So let's dive right into this fight for the future of India's ballot.
First things first, what exactly does vote Chori mean? Well, it's Hindi for vote theft. And this is the phrase the Congress Party is using to describe what they claim is a huge, systematic plan to rig India's electoral process. You have to understand this isn't just a slogan. It's the core accusation driving this entire controversy.
All right, so here's our game plan for breaking this all down. We're going to start with the specific allegations from the Congress Party. Then, we'll look at the point-by-point rebuttal from the Election Commission. After that, we'll get into the political counterattack from the ruling BJP. And finally, we'll unpack why this whole battle matters so much for Indian democracy.
Okay, let's get into the accusations themselves. Now, the Congress Party, led by Rahul Gandhi, didn't just quietly raise a few concerns. No, they came out swinging, claiming they had an atom bomb of evidence that pointed to a massive conspiracy.
And this is the number that really made everyone sit up and pay attention: 100,000. Now, to give you some perspective, they're alleging that they found 100,000 bogus voters in just one single electoral area in Bengaluru. That is a staggering number, and it's clearly meant to suggest this is a problem on an absolutely massive scale.
So, you might be wondering, how do you even get to a number like that? Well, according to the party, it was done using a few key methods. Things like creating duplicate names on the voter list, registering people to addresses that were completely fake or just didn't exist, and in some really wild cases, listing a ridiculously high number of voters at a single house.
And here's where the story blows up from a local issue into a national one. Congress is arguing this wasn't just a one-off thing in one city. They claim that this exact same playbook, this same module for creating irregularities, was used in 48 other constituencies across the country where they ended up losing by a very narrow margin.
And then, things really escalated. The accusation shifted from what might have happened in the past to what they feared would happen in the future. Rahul Gandhi came out and directly accused the Election Commission of India, the ECI, of actually conspiring to steal the upcoming elections in the state of Bihar. This was huge. The fight wasn't just between political parties anymore, they were now going after the referee itself.
So, with an institution like the ECI in the crosshairs, how did they respond? You can bet they weren't going to take this sitting down. Let's get into the Election Commission's rebuttal and see how they defended the electoral system.
The ECI decided to tackle this point by point. Take, for example, the claim that voters registered at house number 0 were proof of fake entries. The ECI came back with a completely different explanation. They said these are often homeless citizens, and to protect their constitutional right to vote, they are assigned a temporary or notional number. The ECI even said calling them fake voters was a grave injustice.
Another huge sticking point was data access. Congress demanded the voter lists in a format that their computers could easily analyze, but the ECI said, nope, we can't do that. And they weren't just being difficult. They cited a 2019 Supreme Court ruling and, major concerns about voter privacy as the legal reasons they had to refuse.
And the ECI didn't just stop at explaining things. Oh no. They threw down the gauntlet. They challenged Rahul Gandhi to take his very serious allegations and put them in a sworn legal affidavit. And here's the kicker. They also demanded a public apology if he couldn't back it up, basically arguing that these kinds of claims can damage the entire democratic process.
All right, so with the official institutional defense laid out, the political gloves came off. Let's shift gears and look at how the ruling party, the BJP, launched its own counterattack.
The BJP's response was fast, and it was all politics. They immediately framed this whole Vote Chori campaign as nothing more than the sour grapes of sore losers. Their core argument was pretty simple. The opposition can't win elections, so now they're trying to tear down the democratic institutions themselves out of sheer desperation.
And then, the BJP went on offense, digging into the history books for a counter-allegation of their own. They claimed that the senior Congress leader, Sonia Gandhi, had her name on the voter rolls way back in 1980, a full 3 years before she even officially became a citizen of India. It's a classic whataboutism move, right? Designed to suggest the Congress Party isn't so clean itself.
And just to really hammer the point home, a senior government minister held a press conference to present his own proof of irregularities, but this time in places the Congress Party had actually won. The message couldn't have been clearer. If there are issues with the voter lists, maybe you should look in your own backyard first.
Okay, we've got allegations, we've got rebuttals, we've got counterattacks. It's a lot of political noise. But what does it all really mean? But zoom out for a second and look at why this whole fight really truly matters.
So here's the bottom line. This fight is about so much more than which party wins an election. What's really on the line here is the very foundation of the system. We're talking about public trust in the Election Commission, the basic integrity of the democratic process, and whether people believe the results are legitimate. Because you see, the moment voters start losing faith in the ballot box, democracy itself starts to get weaker.
And all of this leaves us with a really fundamental question. When someone questions a core democratic institution, is it on them to provide absolute, undeniable proof? Or is it on the institution itself to be so transparent that these kinds of questions can't even come up in the first place? When faith in the system is hanging in the balance, who really has to prove their case?